Aloha, DC Fandome. I apologize for the 4-year wait.
Oh my gosh, we've been there since 2017.
But I'm very proud of the sequel because it's tackling a lot of issues environmentally. Stakes are higher, and I'm just excited because I had a big part in my boy James, you know?
Super to see you, man.
Check it out. I'm excited for you to see it. Tides are changing. It's important. The tides are changing.
Like the comic book, the world of Aquaman is so big and so rich.
It's epic. It's huge. It's colorful. The world is at stake.
I'm super excited to be back making the sequel. I have so much invested into it. I love this character. I love what it represents. There's nothing that I've ever been a part of that's like this.
People are going to be in for a treat. When Aquaman 2 comes out, they're going to get a movie that's more mature, but yet still retain its fun, to give the audience something different, something new that they haven't seen before.
The success of that movie as the biggest DC movie of all time shows what James Wan and his team were able to do. And in this second film, we have turned the dials up to 11. It has the action, the fun, the heart.
Action!
Superheroes and supervillains have entertained generations of fans across the globe.
Good, you got it? We put that in the movie?
To play around with this cast again is quite a trip. We're having a blast. This movie's a lot of fun.
I think fans are going to be very happy. And I think James is really excited to go all out.
This is an exciting scene. We better get to a little bit of action.
It's going to be a fun adventure like it was the first time. Just better.
We see that Black Manta is still seeking his vengeance to try and kill Aquaman. That's gonna be something that's exciting for the audience, something for them to be swept up into the world of Aquaman again.
About to kick some ass.
It's a globe-trotting story. We visit so many different worlds. This movie isn't afraid to embrace its fantasy and go on this magical journey. I think it's gonna be really awesome.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my Aquaman 2 teaser trailer video from DC Fandome. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in here, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's still a bunch of really big trailers that I'm working on, so I'll try to get those out as fast as possible. But just starting at the beginning of this and working our way through shot by shot of all the new footage. Some of this is behind the scenes and then just talking about being really hyped up. So we'll just focus on the new footage. But the title of the movie is The Lost Kingdom, as in The Lost Kingdom of Atlantis. There are 7 kingdoms of Atlantis. We only saw 6 of them in the first movie. So this movie is all about revealing what happened to that lost kingdom. They mentioned it in the first movie. They said before the lost kingdom had been lost, when they were talking about the Great Fall, when Atlantis sank into the ocean. So Atlantis is the name of the city where Aquaman is ruler, but it's also the name of the nation of Atlantis, of a bunch of different kingdoms that broke apart when it sank into the ocean. It's Atlantis itself, the city, then Zebel, where Mira and her father are from, the Trench, the Brine, the Fishermen, and the Deserters. As the name implies, the Deserters was that desert location in the Sahara Desert where they went to find the information on where to find the lost sea, so they could get King Atlan's trident in his armor for Aquaman so that he could take the throne. But as you guys saw during this footage, there was a brand new scene, or an old scene, however you want to think about it, of King Atlan fighting, which probably has something to do with the Lost Kingdom. The way they do the logo reveal, the trailer reveal, the breaking of the ice implies that it's located in a polar region, like either in Antarctica or somewhere trapped inside a glacier. Also, earlier this year, you may have noticed when James Wan was teasing the movie, he was posting pictures when they were filming. They were inside what looked like an iceberg or a glacier, and the title, or the working title of the movie, was Necrus. So what is Necrus? It's also called the Black City. It's basically a lost city that's like Atlantis, but that only exists on planet Earth for brief periods of time and sort of shifts between different dimensions, and that's why it's lost. Not only is it inside a glacier, but it's also shifting between dimensions. The Flash movie is sort of invoking the multiverse in the DCEU in a really big way, so I don't know if they're going to take that route with it in the movie. They might just say that it got lost inside a glacier, and that's why nobody found it. Most of the concept art in the teaser focuses on this brand new place. Like you see them on top of this iceberg here getting ready to dive in to go find the entrance. You see them inside this very different looking city that doesn't look anything like Atlantis. This is probably inside the lost city. You see what looks like this whole underground ecosystem, which is probably preserved inside the lost city, and all these new kinds of creatures they encounter there. In most of the footage that they feature here, it seems like Ocean Master has been let out of his prison, like Aquaman goes to get him in the beach here when he looks like Robinson Crusoe with this giant beard, like he's pulling a Tom Hanks Castaway situation with this giant beard, like they trapped him on land, because what would a prison be for an Atlantean? You trap them on land instead of trapping them underwater. And he's just been by himself on this island since the events of the first movie. But then you see him after a haircut in the same kind of gear that Aquaman is wearing, and they're both fighting Black Manta's people together. So even if there's still a little bit of beef between them, it sounds like they put most of the past behind them. I think that was the idea at the end of the first Aquaman film. Like, look dude, we're brothers, so let's put this behind us. Water under the bridge, to make an Aquaman metaphor. Whereas in the Aquaman post-credit scene, they revealed that he had been found by Dr. Stephen Shin, who's an Aquaman villain of sorts in the comics. He's both an ally and a villain to Aquaman, saves his life, and then basically vows his revenge. So in service of that, you probably noticed how everybody got redesigned costumes, everybody got upgrades. Even Aquaman himself. You'd think that the armor of King Atlan would be enough. No, we need a bigger upgrade. The whole thing with Black Manta's costume is that it just got destroyed in his fight with Aquaman, so it would make sense that he would want to retune his weaponry, his helmet, his armor, just to be a little bit better for the second round. The whole thing with Aquaman's brand new costume, I know it looks kind of dark, what's the deal here? Most people are referring to this as his stealth armor, like something is going on with the Lost City, and he needs a stealth suit for whatever mission they're going on. The movie's going to be really big, so there'll be a couple sub-missions, couple side quests during this too. Like you see them running through the desert, like they go back to the Kingdom of the Deserters to get more information on the Lost Kingdom. So it's not like they're just going between Atlantis and the Lost Kingdom. They'll visit some of the other 7 kingdoms as well. We only briefly saw some of them during the events of the first movie. Because the working title is Necrus, Necrus is the Black City, they're implying that it's the Lost Kingdom of Atlantis. In the comics, the ruler of Necrus was a person named Mongo, so I don't know if they're going to change that for the movie, because in a big movie like this, as silly as they might get with some of the moments as comedic, a name like Mongo just feels a little too silly. And in the comics, his whole MO was very similar to Ocean Masters in the first movie, forming an alliance to fight the surface dwellers. But since we did that in the first movie, I'm not expecting them to recycle the plot of the first movie for the second one. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this scene of James Wan talking about the movie, like zoom and enhance around the background of his little office here. Most of this is all just concept art of people from the Lost Kingdom, like soldiers from the Lost Kingdom with new technology. Aquaman's new costume, his old costume from the first film, the armor of King Atlan. And I know a lot of people saw this shark here and they're like, wait a minute, is that King Shark? Is there going to be a King Shark cameo in the movie from the Suicide Squad? Because that would be amazing. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but that would be one of the few cameos from the Suicide Squad movie that seems like it would be an easy slam dunk for an Aquaman film. They haven't completely explained the timeline of the movie. I believe it's supposed to take place within a couple years of Aquaman taking the throne, so he's been King of Atlantis for a couple years now. When they learn about what's going on with the Lost Kingdom, there's some big threat that requires them to go find it. And as a lot of the footage implies, that might have something to do with what Black Manta is doing during the movie. Black Manta co-opting more Atlantean technology and possibly more weaponry from this Lost Kingdom. They haven't said much about crossovers. They don't really need to have any big Justice League crossovers. During the first film, they did reference the events of the Justice League film just for continuity, but you didn't really see any huge characters running around on screen talking to Aquaman. Just a lot of playback on televisions and a lot of news clippings and references. The real big DCEU crossovers are mostly happening in the Flash movie because it's a multiverse movie and you have Michael Keaton's Batman coming from the multiverse with Ben Affleck's Batman. Also probably Shazam too, but movies like The Batman, for instance, not going to be a big crossover movie, mostly self-contained in its own little universe that Matt Reeves is building. I also talked about this during my Black Adam video because everybody's kind of wondering what's happening with Superman, and so many of the different DCEU actors that still have movies that are happening want to do some sort of big crossover with other characters, particularly Superman, Wonder Woman. Right now, just based on the way people are talking, the best chance for him coming back would be inside the Black Adam sequels, if he's not already in the first Black Adam movie. But obviously this whole Aquaman 2 teaser is just meant to be an early look at the film. There'll be a much bigger trailer next year. Like they've been filming, they still have a lot of work to do in the film. That's why they didn't show full trailers for all the DC movies. If you have any big questions or you spotted any big Easter eggs during this that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Everyone click here for that brand new Shazam 2 trailer video and click here for my Batman trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.